Dios. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Only One. I don't know what we're doing today, but we're just gonna grab an eagle and an energy, I guess. Why not? I don't need a shield. Let's go to infinite. Recently I had made a video talking about science stuff, and of course I got really into it as usual. God dang, I'm good at this. Well, we'll see how good I am actually as things go on. You gonna shoot at me? I missed. And he's dead anyway. Pick a direction you're gonna die in. That one. I missed. What's the goal? Start at 51, you have to... What the fuck? How does this already count? Whatever. Collect hearts. Okay. Weird. Yeah, that shouldn't count. But I'm on infinite, so it counts. Start at 51 or infinite, both count. I don't need your shield, bitch. You think your shield's important to me? I do not. Ugh. Hello, bat. Take my blade. I lose the heart. You know, it'd be hard collecting all the hearts until a certain point. That would suck. Here you pop! Ah! So anyway, a guy made a video talking about how time on clocks is never measured as actually going slower, even though it was literally experimentally proven to go slower or faster, depending on stuff. I missed. Success. The thing is, I was looking everywhere for the exact details of that experiment done in the 70s, where they took a plane with an atomic clock, went around the Earth, and like they didn't say the information in the editorial of the first time I looked at it, so I had to look for more information, find out the exact details and true full details. There was a lot missing. It was ridiculous. It's like, what's going on? I don't understand. Die. 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 Bitch. Die. Bitch! Oh! Remember that clip? That was a good clip. Excellent guy. I think that was Charlton Heston. No? Just as old. Wow, that's a deep cut. Who knows what I'm talking about? You're dead. You actually get to experience me attacking you twice. Most people don't, because I usually hit them with, you know, a full attack that actually kills them completely in one shot. That's me being brutal, bitch. Get used to it. You were summoned here. Why? You're dead. You're dead. And guess what? Shut up. Anyway. Anyway, so the thing is, they went. One went east, the other one went west. The idea was that they were going to go relative to the rotation of the Earth. Very important. So they did that. Quad kill. Anyway, so they did this experiment, and going in one direction, they found that the clocks were nanoseconds, in the faster, and the other ones were nanoseconds slower. So why would they be slower? It makes sense that one of them would do one thing and the other one would do like stationary stuff, but why would they ever go like the way that they did? And the answer is, going relative to the rotation of the Earth, its speed is like the motion of you on a train. So when you're going along with it, its speed and your speed add up to make a total distance traveled. So even if you're moving the same speed around the Earth, your total distance is not the same for one flight to the other. They didn't understand this for some fucking reason. It's ridiculous. Don't know why. I know you're immune to fire, you bitch. At the parry. Yeah, I don't actually care about him. He's gonna die. See? He's dead. So, anyway, in the experiment, if you... Oh, shut up. If you compensate for the distance total traveled, which is referenced compared to, like, outside of the concern of the rotation of the Earth, right? Like the moon or some shit. Or even more unrelated, right? You end up realizing time dilation never occurred. Wow, you teleport died. That's a horrific failure. And he killed himself. He's dead. Bitch. Owned! Whatever. I failed. I spawn killed that guy. Aw, poor dude. He's like, if I'm getting hurt immediately with no time to even react, what the fuck am I supposed to do about this guy? He's insane. He's insane. One dead. Two dead. He's dead. No, I don't care. So anyway, the rotation of the Earth is a constant speed. Therefore, any atomic clock that is on the Earth is going to be moving at a constant speed. So when you go opposite the rotation of the Earth, your total distance... Got him. Goodbye. I'm leaving. You missed. You're dead. Goodbye. You won't be missed. You missed. Short missed. Shut up. You're gonna die. Anyway. I'll move around. Kill you. Grab this. Did I grab it? I don't know. I don't care. Okay. We got a few people here. Whoop. Dead. Another dead. Only fuck you! Actual fuck you! I was gonna use my fire! Whatever. Okay, so the thing is, like... So in an atomic clock, you're having stuff bounce back and forth. I'm gonna grab one of these. Grab one of those. Try again. In an atomic clock, you're bouncing back and forth light. So if you're moving a certain distance, then that distance you're having to travel over time has to be consistent, or your clock is going to tick at different rates. That's just the obvious thing about what happens when anything is bouncing. Or when anything is moving towards where it's bouncing off of at a different rate than it was a moment ago. So if its motion equals, let's say 10 meters per second, for light we can calculate that it takes whatever amount to be able to go that second. The amount of 10 meters per second, it will move 10 meters in 1 second. For light, that means that it will have gone a certain distance in that time, and it will take that much to catch up with the atomic clock itself. Light is independent of the atomic clock. So, when the atomic clock starts moving at a different rate of, say, 100 meters per second, well, that's 10 times the distance per second that light has to travel in order to keep up with that clock. Clearly, you can understand, if it has to keep up with it doing that much more time, it'll take 10 times as long to make a tick. That kind of thing kind of makes obvious sense. If the rate was a second per second or something, but it's not. It's clock. Light. So we have to consider light. So when you consider light, and it's moving millions, hundreds of millions per second, right? The difference between moving 10 meters per second and 100 meters per second for the fraction of that time of like the difference of that and the speed of light is speed of light is a very large number. So one of them is 1/200 millionth of the speed of light, and one is 29 millionth the speed of light. So it's a vast silly difference. So it's a fraction of time that is the difference between 10 and 100 meters per second. We can calculate this. So that fraction of a second is the nanometers that we're talking about. It's crazy. Simple. Double key it. Yeah, you take the... I don't want to get too many hearts too quickly. I want to get hearts like when it becomes difficult to live, then I do sacrifice. And then obviously, well, you're dead. Anyway. He killed himself. He tried to one-shot me. Fuck you! Bitch. Anyway. So you have to understand the speed of the rotation of the Earth. And then that compared to the 150 speed that they were working with, whatever the kilometers per hour or whatever. You can do some math and find out how much of the speed of light that is, so that if you're moving with the rotation of the Earth, it's supposed to go positive, but it doesn't go, here's the thing, it doesn't go positive in a straight line. It goes positive, but the answer was, the other one was like not symmetrically positive and negative, but there was like there was some greater number in the other direction. And I don't remember that detail. Or I don't remember that, yeah, that specific detail, I don't remember which one it was. So, I don't remember why. Why would it be any different? And anyway. He died anyway. Shame that you were spawned here. I didn't ask to be forced to kill you, but I'm trying to live. Get off my tower. Anyway. I missed. Go ahead, try it. Cases I've seen. He's dead now. Was it him that killed him? I don't think so. Sakashoraba! Think smarter, not Anyway, you can tell how hard this is for me depending on how much I'm able to talk versus the game. He's dead. Get out of here! Suck a shit! He killed himself. God damn it, I'm so close to the sacrifice too. Okay, so yeah, I don't know. 150 kilometers per hour in one direction versus the other. You still have to say like the actual total distance that you travel. You have to think of the speed of the rotation of the Earth. Give me a second. Okay, so the Earth's rotating at about 1,670 kilometers per hour. At the equator, so if we think of that in terms of I should say per second, because I don't need to do math. Do it for me. Okay, so we go at 0.465 kilometers per second around, right? So like less than a half a kilometer per second. It's really not much, considering that light goes 200 and such million kilometers per second, which is fun to think about. So let's see. Let's take this number here. No, I don't need the fucking bitch yet. Fuck you. Take the limits and go away. I just want the number. Copy that and go into the calculators. And shut up with the rest of the numbers that I don't need. And we'll paste it here. Where's the paste button? Fuck, I don't know. Seriously, I don't fucking know where the paste button is. Okay, so that shut up. 1 divided by, let's put another number where 1 is. Give me a second. Speed of light. In kilometers per second. Okay, so yeah, looking at kilometers per second, we then have this number, right? So if we take this number here, fuck you, and we paste in this number instead, we end up with a number that is 1/600,000th of the speed of light. And then I gotta do 100. All of this in per second is like the units is whatever. So like that, and then I have to add 150 miles per hour into per second. So I don't want meters per second, I want kps. Okay, so we take this number. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Just give me a number. Why do you think I want the whole thing? I just want the number. Thank you. So 29972, let's just remember that. And then say blah blah blah. Shut up. Plus the other number we just got. You're stupid. Stop that. Stop the replace button. Fuck off. It's such a stupid program. Like, just say +1 and then copy over that. And then you have this, which is the speed that we're going when we add our speed to the speed of the Earth, right? The rotation of the Earth. So we gotta log that away somewhere. Where we're gonna put it? Put it in chat. I don't know. That's a good place to put it, actually. Boop. Okay. So let's hope we can copy that later. Or just reference it. So then we take the same number and switch it to a minus. It's that simple. Minus. And then we end up with this number. Okay, so we got these two numbers. Your speed with the rotation of the Earth and against the rotation of the Earth. Right? Because it's all of that speed added to yours, and then it's all of that speed subtracted by yours. So it's still the rotation of the Earth, but it's the 150 kilometers per hour that is being removed from it to get these two numbers, or added to it to get these two numbers. So then we go back to the other number, which I really should have just logged in, but I remember it off by heart, so shut up. 992.979 divided by, and we start off with this number. Write in a number, and then we paste this, so we end up with this number. So that is the ratio of, or that is something percentage of the number with the that's going against the rotation of the Earth. And then we take the number and we put in, we gotta put in a dot. I need to get out of there, put in a dot. And it would type in 50667, and you end up with this number instead. So clearly, the amount of the percentage of the speed of light in regards to all of that, it's hard to, you'd have to convert these into a percentage of the number or whatever, which I guess you're supposed to divide, oh wait, you're supposed to divide the number by the speed of light thing, which is, oh, it's 7.2. I'm not wrong. I'm just wrong by a little bit. It's okay to be, look how much different that is. 592 versus, it's still 592. We're off by a very small amount, okay? Don't worry about it. So the amount that we're off, we'll just say running error. It's not important at this point. So the fraction of the one is 500,000th of the speed of light. The fraction of the other is 700,000th the speed of light. Or it's 592,000. So I think we do need to do it so it's in the opposite direction. Let's try that though. Divided by 299.927. Okay, so that's the, what is it? That times 1,000? 100? Or is that the real percentage? I forget if you're supposed to go times 100 to figure out percentage. So it's 0.61689% the speed of light, or it's 00. I don't remember. Moving on, we switch this number to the other number. 42333. And we end up with 14. So is this the right way to analyze this? I'm slightly lost. No, that's not it. No, that's not it. That thing? That's not it either. That's useless. Go away. Okay, I'm trying to see where these numbers become valid, or useful. Okay, so the first number is the speed of the rotation of the Earth per sec in kilometers per second versus the speed of like adding the rotation of the Earth to 150 kilometers per hour and subtracting it in the other way. So we did both. And so the 5 equals, oh, and then they're inversely proportionate. So yeah, it's 700. Okay, 1 over 700 and whatever. So it should be that big number divided by 1, or 1 divided by that big number. That would help me. That'd be great to have that. So let's just, can we copy that? No? Fuck. Great. Love that. What do I have in my bullshit? That number. Okay, let's do that. 1 divided by that. I don't understand. Times 100. Wow, you're a dick. What the fuck just happened? I said times 100. Get rid of that. Okay, so the 1689 was the number that I was supposed to get from the thing that if you do it the other way, you get that. Okay, so the other one was 16, one was 14. The smaller numbers also factor in, but you get the point. Slightly. That the ratio of the speed of light for the one was clearly not the same ratio. Like the total speed was a different ratio of the speed of light. One is definitely higher than the other one. So it's not just that you're adding and subtracting the speed of light, or your speed to the rotation of the speed of the Earth, and then that 150 in one way or the other reflects the amount that you would expect time to dilate. It's that you have now changed your total distance per hour, blah, 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 blah. Something regarding these numbers converted into the right units. So in one direction you went 529.0, and the other one you went 708.6. So the amount of discrepancy that you have between the one and the other will be a little. How to find that without breaking my head? So this might actually show up bigger because I'm on widescreen now and whatever. I understand formats. Think about all this. Okay, ratio relative to the speed of light is equals that you increased your speed to that plus this ratio. and you decreased by a different ratio. That's why you ended up with different displacements of how light would have worked, because the difference between light travel in that second, in any given second, for the one plane, which is going the one speed, the same speed in the one direction, right? There's that fraction of the speed of light that will add more time to its travel, and it's this really 1 over a crazy number, and it's a different number for the 5, which was going with the rotation of the Earth. So that has a different, what they would call a time dilation. What is actually happening is just, you're not considering the distance light had to travel, right? That's why it's different, because that ratio of your speed versus the speed of light, or the distance that light could have taken in a second versus the distance that light can take in the plane going the other direction, and one's longer, one's shorter. So, yeah, that's why if it takes less time to go the same. So if your total distance over time is less, how do I put this? It means that light had only so many bounces in the atomic clock, or and like the ratio of distance, like it was only able to, why am I losing it? Um, I'll just say it like I've always said it. Because it was going the other way of the direction of travel of the rotation of the Earth, right? Therefore, it let a total shorter distance. If you had to bounce something that shorter distance back and forth, one tick would take a certain amount of time. And it's similar to say that the atomic clock itself, the components were essentially a certain distance away from each other. And when you're going with the rotation of the Earth, there's a further distance that it has to go forward. So the way that it could break down is if there's like some equivalence of, well, if you go forward, right, a certain amount, and going backwards a different amount, like you have to consider it's traveling down in one direction. Where the hell is why isn't it working? Hello? I can't touch the ball. There it is. Okay, so it has to bounce and then bounce back. Because of the speed of it's not just, it's not just going a different distance. It's going a total different speed, because the speed of the rotation of the Earth can
contributes to how much distance light had to travel inside the device. That ratio being different, that means that one had the greater amount of ratio. So the atomic clocks would be different, positive this certain amount based on the ratio of rotation of the Earth plus the speed of the plane. The distance is obviously the entire, like they start and end at the same plane station, plane airport, right? So relative to that, with very little difference. I mean, they didn't circle the airport or something. Plort. Um, Relative to that, I mean, those would be really tiny differences. It would be the difference between um, 0.00068 and 0.00069 or something, which would be funny. But anyhow, who cares? Or add like another couple of zeros and then add a 1. Like it's nothing. Tiny distance around an airport versus the entire area of the orbit or the circumference of the Earth is like a whole, like crazy. It's tiny. It's nothing, right? So, especially considering how far light can go in a second, whatever. When you consider this, then it makes sense that you have these different variables equaling a different time. A total amount of speed. So because their speeds were different, like the clock went forward by this ratio and backward it went forward by one ratio and backward by the other ratio. Which, yeah, when you conflate the numbers becomes the difference of 100,000th of a second, which is really close to, or 116,000th of a second. The difference between 708 and 592. That's a really neat situation there. Anyway, all that to be said, I'm running out of power. That doesn't really matter. The point is, that's why the atomic clocks in that test were off by those different times. I don't know why they didn't consider like the amount of time dilation, whatever else, to be accurate and stuff, and if my numbers correspond with what it should have been. But it's interesting that there is that discrepancy because of the different ratio of the distance light can travel in a second in one direction versus another, which I may have done the math wrong on, but the amount that differing is still correct. Like the distances are correct. No, that the other numbers are the ratios. The difference is that the 7 is corresponding to the 4 and the 592 is corresponding with the 0.5. I had to remember that. But that's fine. It all works out. We get it. So then, knowing this, knowing that time literally for those clocks went up or down relative to the regular speed of just the rotation of the Earth, which is the thing standing still, right? That's the regular speed. Then it was able to move this much per second inside of that sort of quote unquote stationary clock. And for the other clocks, it would be up and down. And the amount that it would be up and down is based on these numbers. And it's like, or these very similar, more accurate numbers probably, but very similar numbers. Very similar. And again, this proves that there's no such thing as time dilation. You just got to measure the actual total distance a thing is traveling through space. Now, why is this a problem with satellites? This is the real crux of the whole thing. Satellites aren't going at constant speed. You see, a plane can go 150 kilometers per hour consistently. They can be chartered to go at that speed, no faster, no slower, to make a control test. That's what they did, I think, or it was miles. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The point is that the speed was correct and accurate, and the amount was the same in both directions. The point is, satellites don't move at a constant speed. They are moving at a constantly decelerating speed. So as you're moving through space, you're not just going in that circle at a constant rate of one. Let's say if you were going one tick every month, that's a long orbit, but let's say you did that, right? It's not doing that. Every so often and constantly, the speed is slowing down, right? So it can't stay in orbit. And it has to do a burn to speed up and then stay in orbit again for a longer amount of time. So in that scenario, you would have to constantly monitor the directionality of the satellite, which as it is going around a gigantic circle, it's not a flat forward direction, although in reference to the atomic clock, it is technically the same as a forward direction because the amount of distance that it's traveling in any given instant inside the atomic clock, barely any difference between just going straight for a very long time, even if it turns, because it really doesn't make that much of a general difference. The circle is so huge that it doesn't change anything. The point isn't about it going in a circle, it's about that it's slowing down. And if it has to do any maneuvers, that changes the directionality of the atomic clock, which can change how the light bounces, and everything is different then. If it has to do like a sudden stop, you get a sudden jolt, which is noticeable. But we're talking about very slow differences, and if you hit like some solar winds or something, that's a different amount of distance slowing per second that you have to consider, or speeding up, or if it's constantly changing direction, it changes the internal functions. It's a lot to keep track of. So they don't compensate for all of that. Even though their programs and computer systems probably could at this point, they don't do that. Instead, what they do to make it sure that it is accurate, they have an atomic clock on Earth. They beam that to the satellites. And that's how they know the time. Every moment. Right? It's being updated like every minute or every so often, but it is never not updating that clock. It is always having to keep it up. So it is able to actually do course corrections properly. So it's able to do the burn to keep in orbit correctly so that it can avoid other satellites or debris correctly. It needs to be updated all the time. There are too many variables that it just does not keep track of. Because, first of all, you'd have to be able to keep track of your speed or distance over time, which you'd have to know the time in order to do the distance over time equation, unless you use one of my sensors, which, get on it, it's basically a light cone, so that if you have a light cone and you're going a fraction of the speed of light, let's say 10 kilometers per second, 10,000 kilometers per second, right? That's a fraction. It's a small amount, but it's a fraction. The point is that if you go any faster or any slower, it's analogous to having the beam of light have to hit a target that's further or closer to itself, its starting point. So this beam of a cone will stretch out from the center, and it will go up and it will go down. And depending on this line, this backdrop, it will be a big circle or it'll be a small circle, and it'll stop here or something. And by the distance of this deviation, depending on how you organize, like how wide the cone is more susceptible to different speeds. So you can make all sorts of cones and then know all the different speed changes, although generally just one cone will do. And then you can not only know your speed, you can know your attitude, if you are changing direction, if you are say moving sideways comparison to like drifting, you can tell if you're doing that. You can tell if you're spinning. You can tell all that stuff. And those kinds of sensors exist. So you can see your speed without any landmarks whatsoever. You just need to do a calculation of, okay, light would have moved a certain distance. So when you reach a cone size, that your speed, when your speed increases, if it is analogous to the door, the backdrop being further away, that equals, you can tell it, you know these calculations, it's a basic function, and you can immediately know this number equals that much speed, right? Like, let's say if you're moving 10 meters per second, for example, then a beam cone that is spread out to hit a disk of a certain size at 1 meter away, right? That's a long instrument in order to tell distance. Well, whatever. It's an example. The point is that the idea of the cone is going to be hitting something that is, say, a few centimeters in diameter by 1 meter away, and if you're going any faster, that's analogous to the disk being that light hitting a wall that was further away. And it's the same kind of thing as if you were to have your flashlight closer or further away from the wall. The further away from the wall, the bigger the disk. So knowing that, This kind of thing is able to have it so that you know in your satellite how fast you're going and if you're spinning, right? Which, if you're constantly spinning, it's not very helpful. But there are those instances where when it lines up that the circle is a circle for the camera, then you have the information of how fast you're going. Because where on the target it hits, like if it hits the inner ring, it's going this speed. If it hits the outer ring, it's going this other speed. You can calculate that by where the light would hit compared to if it hit like 10 meters away or something, or 3 meters away. Even though the apparatus hasn't changed, light having to go the further distance because of your distance per second increasing changes where it hits. So the light will be, one, brighter and dimmer. It will also be a bigger or a smaller circle of the cone is where it'll land. So it's like you can even tell if you're going backwards or something, which is fun. Anyway, that's about it. I don't know, whatever. I've talked about this a bunch.